Good morning, and God bless you. We are on day 26 through the journey through the Bible, and our reading today is from Exodus 2:11 through 25, Exodus 3, Matthew 17:10 through 27, Psalms 22, 1 through 18, Proverbs 5, 7 through 14. Pretty cool reading. In Exodus, here we have Moses, who is full grown. We have Moses who looks upon his people, knowing that they are his brethren, and he kills the Egyptian and he strikes him down. And the next day he sees some of his brethren fighting, and they like, hey, who are you to judge us? Since are you going to kill us like you killed the Egyptian? And him realizing that his deed was known, he fled, and that's where he comes to the well and meets the priest of Midian's daughters, and he decides to dwell there. And it is there that God calls him, because God has heard the cry of the supplication of his people Israel, the descendants of Jacob and Abraham and Isaac, that were left in bondage in Egypt. So there begins that journey and the story of Moses and the freeing of the people, and the signs and the wonders that God performs in the midst of Egypt to bring his people Israel to the land that he promised them, flowing with milk and honey. And then in Matthew, we have Jesus, and he's still preaching and he's still healing, and he comes and somebody brings their son who's epileptic, and the disciples tried to heal him and they couldn't heal him, and he's like, oh, you faithless, or you little faith, how long am I going to be with you? And he heals the son. And after healing the epileptic child, the disciples were like, how come we couldn't do this? And he was like, oh, you little faith, because of your unbelief. But I tell you, if you had faith, even the size of a mustard seed, you'd be able to move the mountain from here to there. You say, move to the mountain and go over there, and it will go. But then he concedes and says, this type you can only, get out through prayer and fasting. And this is when he predicts that, he again predicts his suffering, his trial, his death and his appointed rising. All right, so he starts telling him that, and of course they're sad, because they're like, wait a minute, they don't want to hear that. Who wants to hear that? Who wants to hear that? Their God is going to be given up. And he makes a reference to them, and he says, I know you heard that Elijah must come and make the way. And he says, indeed, Elijah has already come, but you did not know him. And they treated him as they treated the prophets, which he was referring to John the Baptist, right? That's important. There's a whole religion out there that's waiting for these signs have already taken place, right? These traditions based on these very signs that he's like, well, that's already happened, right? That's already happened, right? And, now we live in contention for these very things, even to this day. But it doesn't matter. Well, it matters, but it doesn't matter. If you're one in Christ, then, there's no longer Jew nor free, nor Greek. There's no longer slave nor free. There's no longer male nor female. For if you're baptized into Christ and you put on Christ, then you're heirs according to the promise. Then you're part of Abraham's seed. You're heirs according to the promise. All right. So, Jesus has already rectified many of these things that we're still fighting about today. Right? We're still fighting about it today. And why are we fighting about that? Who benefits from us fighting about that? Think about that. Whose kingdom do we benefit by fighting about these very simple things, these very truths that God has already spoken to us and already given us the answers for? Who benefits from us fighting about that? The division that it causes, the separation and the angst. So, there you go. Anyway, moving forward, it is a beautiful thing, and oh wow, there is a fox over there. A fox in my neighborhood. Oh, cool. All right, so with that, let me allow you to go. Let me tell you, go with God, stay with God, and keep God first in all you're doing. Keep God first in all your sayings. You know what? Go with God, stay with God. Love you all. Bye-bye.